Morphing Bezier shapes on the path line is a super expressive way to transition between objects on screen. In this demonstration, I'll show you how to draw Bezier shapes and morph them along the path line. First, some definitions. Parametric shape paths are defined numerically by properties that you can modify and animate after drawing in the timeline panel. For example, this circle has numeric properties that I can adjust in the timeline. By default, when you draw shapes with the Shape Builder tool, they are parametric shape paths. Bezier shape paths are defined by a collection of vertices, path points, and segments that you can modify in the composition panel. You can draw Bezier paths with the Shape Builder by clicking the Bezier path box before you draw. With Bezier shapes, you get a path line. If you were to draw a shape with the pen tool, by default, it would be a Bezier shape. You can draw new shapes with the Shape Builder and the Bezier path box checked, or you can convert your existing parametric shape paths to Bezier. To convert, right-click, Control-click on a Mac on the Shape menu item. For instance, Ellipse Path 1. It has to be the path item. If it is anything else, your menu will look different. From this menu, select Convert to Bezier Path. Now that all my shapes are Bezier paths, they have path lines. I'm going to morph these shapes along a single path. Expand the layers so that they overlap using the bracket trim hotkey. Make keyframes along the path of each of the shapes. Copy the keyframes and paste them onto one of the paths. In my case, I used my rectangle layer as the main layer to paste onto. Make sure the path line is selected when you paste. I'll scrub my playhead through to show you the morph. Now I don't need the other layers. The path information is copied onto a single path line. You can delete the other layers. Let's get this morph looking a little better. First, let's put some holds in there so it actually finds and holds the shape. It's better to have quick transitions with a longer hold, not just have the object continually morphing like it is now. Copy and paste the keyframes of the shapes and paste them so that there is about a 1 second hold between the transitions. The transitions in my example take 5 frames. Convert the keyframes after the transition to hold keyframes so that they lock. The repeat keyframe will initiate the transition. Control or right-click on a keyframe and select Toggle Hold Keyframe. Now the shape morphs, but it jumps all over the frame. We will animate a little correction in there to center the objects. At the start, on the position and anchor point lines, make keyframes to set the shape's anchor point and position. At the start of the first transition, copy those anchor point and position keyframes and paste them. Now, here is where we're going to align everything. Over the span of the transition, so right over top of the path transition keyframes, adjust the anchor point and position. Right-click on the shape to bring up the transform menu and select Center Anchor Point in Layer Content. Then use the arrow tool to adjust the position over the length of the transition. Copy the position and anchor point keyframes and paste them at the start of the next transition. Then, over the span of that next transition, adjust the anchor point and position so that the object is centered. An easy shortcut for the center anchor point action is to double-click on the Pan Behind tool while holding down Command on a Mac or Control on a PC. Adjust the position as needed. When the shape needs to hold, transform the keyframes to hold keyframes by right-clicking in the keyframe and selecting Toggle Hold Keyframe. Now I have a super dynamic morphing transition centered in the frame.